I'm Rafał Bartoszewski. I've lived in a city for all my life, but I always knew that the best and the most important things are outside. That's why I want to take you. Closer to the nature. Winter is not usually associated with the observations of birds. We rather try to look for tracks left somewhere in the snow, remembering that many species of our avifauna flew to warmer countries where winter will not be a challenge for them. However, it is worth remembering that there is still plenty of birds in the country, and in the winter it is easier to see and hear them when there are no leaves on the branches and you can hear less songs. Tits are one of the most recognizable birds in Poland, but not everybody remembers that besides the most well-known great tits and blue tits, we can encounter 4 more species: marsh tit, crested tit, willow tit, and Coltd. The first 2 species, great and blue tit, are found both outside the city and in the urban environment. But it is better to go to the forest to look for the other 4 species, because it is a typical environment for them and they are associated with it. During the winter months, many people try to help urban birds and leave them seeds or fatback, and Tits love to use it. It's a good time for calm observation and learning the identification features of species. The great tits like to visit such places. Over the next few weekends, I want to go to the forest to find and observe all of our species of tits. In the forest, however, meetings with great tits are also not uncommon. That was a jay, a very characteristic voice, but this species is a master in imitating the voices of other birds. I'm not surprised that I heard her first, but I'm not looking for her now. The great tits are our largest tits, but still they are not big and they are similar in size to the sparrow. Oh, the first great tits are talking somewhere around me, but I don't see them. Representatives of these species have a very wide repertoire of sounds, more than 200. There they are. These birds have a yellow belly, a black head with white cheeks, and an olive green back. However, the easiest way to recognize this species is looking at a dark stripe that runs from the head through the breast to the bird's belly. It is also a feature that allows you to easily distinguish a male from a female, because in males the black stripe is wider and ends between the legs, and in females it is narrower and often ended already on the belly. Although for us these birds are mainly associated with eating seeds or fatback, they feed mainly on small invertebrates, which they found somewhere among trees, hidden for example under the bark or when they search between the fallen leaves. The great tits also eagerly feed on carrion, and and they can even hunt larger vertebrates, such as birds or bats. There was a great tit out there again. It was the first of our tits, but I can hear the voice of the second one somewhere in this area, the blue tit. Very fast syllables come from that direction. The blue tit is smaller and stands out with bluish feathers that decorate the top of her head. She must be somewhere here. The entire Tits family has similar habits, therefore representatives of this species also feed mainly on insects and seeds, which are very important for them, especially in winter. Interestingly, scientists studying blue tits in Corsica have noticed that adult birds bring fresh aromatic plants to the nest, and that reduces the number of bacteria living on the chicks. Plants, however, did not significantly affect the amount of bacteria found on adult birds. You can often meet them in the company of other tits. I found 2 best known species, but there are 4 more. I wonder if I will be lucky today. If you are looking for tits, it's worth visiting tree stands composed of young conifers, especially in winter, because you can meet a crested tit at the eye level. These birds remain on their territory throughout the year. However, this is a rarely seen member of this family in Poland. I hear one of them somewhere nearby, but I cannot see where. There she is. She appeared on the tree branch far away from me, and from this distance she looked like a tree sparrow. She just flew away, but I'm in the right place. Crested tits merge into pairs for their lifespan, and they stand together in their territory in winter. It is a species that can make a hollow for its youngs in a decayed tree trunk. All tits live in hollows. Crested tits have a characteristic voice that is difficult to confuse, and even more characteristic look. Thanks to the peaked tuft on the head, from which the name comes, these birds stand out among others. She flew somewhere again. It's time to look for other species. There are 3 more, but I'm afraid that I will have a problem with them. We have a sunny day, there isn't any snow, but it's not much warmer. I'm wondering which tits we will be able to see this time. The Marsh tit and the Willow tit are twin species that look almost the same, and it is difficult to tell what species we observe in the field. The Coltd is the smallest species of tits that we can find in Poland. The Tits family is really interesting, although probably not many people think about it in everyday life. There was an experiment which showed that these birds follow chemical signals that trees send while they are attacked by insects. There were great tits used in the experiment, but probably the blue tits also used such signals. Suddenly I walked into a multi-species flock of birds moving through the forest in one group from one place to another. This is what I've been waiting for. Suddenly a bunch of birds appeared, a bunch of small birds. There are long-tailed tits, great tits, blue tits, marsh tits or willow tits. There are gold crests, really a lot is happening here. I cannot record it, I don't know what to record. It's amazing, suddenly came a wave of birds. Another tit has appeared here, but it's difficult to say whether it is a marsh or willow tit. These species are so similar to each other that even professionals have problems to identify them, and it's easier to distinguish them by songs. Now the bird is silent and I am not able to say which species it is. However, for me she looks like a marsh tit. The bird was calmly looking for food under the bark of trees, and my presence did not disturb him at all. It is interesting that the marsh tits usually choose for the nest slots, holes and hollows situated quite low above the ground, which are not very attractive to other species, so these birds are not very competitive for them. Finally the bird spoke and I was sure that I met the marsh tit. Her alarm call resembles the voice of blue tits, but not the voice of willow tits. It's a voice of willow tits. Definitely willow tits. If I saw her, I probably wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if it's a marsh or willow tit. But it's a characteristic voice. Single syllables somewhere from these trees. Maybe I will see her. The willow tit again. Oh no. Now I hear two individuals. They speak loudly and clearly. I think they are out there, somewhere nearby for sure. If only one of them showed up. There was a voice of black woodpecker in the background, but I'm here because of the willow tits. They finally appeared. Willow tit is a sedentary species that forms monogamous pairs, stays in its territory throughout the whole year, and protects it against strangers. It changes a little bit in the winter, when pairs of adult birds connect with young individuals and tolerate their presence in their area. It was one thought that in winter flocks the birds merge into pairs, but it turned out that it is not entirely true, and often, or even most often, they mate before autumn. Now there is only one species to find. I have never seen a Coltd before. I can't find her. I would like to complete a full list of all 6 species of tits, but this one hides all the time. The Coltd lives in coniferous forests, but it is not linked only with pine trees, and we can often find it, for example, in spruce tree stands. It is not easy to find these birds because they are the smallest tits in Poland and even in Europe. They also move mainly in the crowns of trees, what makes them even more elusive. In appearance they look a little bit like great tits, but they have paler colors. They have no stripe going through the breast and belly, and in addition you can see a white spot on the back of their head. A small peaked tuft on the head is a characteristic feature of Coltd, and it can be raised, for example, in the stressful moments, but not only. The nest is placed in a natural hollow, of course, and what's interesting, similarly like marsh tits, Coltds often choose holes that are relatively low above the ground. Finally, a small bird came quite unexpectedly. The Coltd appeared out of nowhere, giving no time for anything, preparing or setting the camera. The bird moved quickly and for me quite chaotically, and then he just flew away. He disappeared as quickly as he appeared. Wow, finally! For a short moment, but he's been here. My quest to find Tits ends here, and it was a really valuable experience and an interesting adventure. I am happy because we have found all 6 species of tits permanently living in Poland. The largest and probably the most well-known great tit, decorated with blue feathers, blue tit, a crested tit with a characteristic peaked tuft on the head, our twins, the marsh tit and the willow tit, and the smallest of all of them, the Coltd. It's time to go back home, but right now I invite you to the next quest.